And we're back. What's up? D's here with another video. This one is, I got the shirt, veganism video, all right? And we're going to talk about a study that came out a few years ago, and it talked about kids and their different diets, and how the conclusion that is in there, one of the conclusions, is that the vegan kids were shorter than the other kids. So it's interesting. So let's go through it, and let's learn a little something, and we'll break it down, and all right, let's get right into it. So, the study is a Poland study. It was done in Poland, right? And the title of the study is called "Growth, Body Composition, and Cardiovascular and Nutritional Risk of 5 to 10-year-old Children Consuming Vegetarian, Vegan, or Omnivore Diets." Now, it's very interesting. Let's see. So there are some details that I'm going to go into after to show why this study and the conclusion isn't really accurate. But let's just go to conclusion right away. All right. So conclusion, it says here, vegan diets were associated with a healthier cardiovascular risk profile, but also with an increased risk of nutritional deficiencies and lower BMC and height. Now, that's conclusion. And as the average person, like myself, I guess, that the average person, we're not really like, really great at understanding studies and, the statistics behind it, the charts they use, the methods they use, all that stuff. So what happens with the average person is that we read it, we see the conclusion, we're like, there it is, blah, 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 it means this. And the crazy thing is that in a lot of studies, like, the conclusions aren't really actually correct. They're not actually true. There's so many things that go on. So before I get into what's up with this study here, is that we have to stop today, like people, average person, is to stop accepting studies for saying what they're saying as if they are correct, as if they're true, as if there's no flaws. So a lot of studies, what happens is there could be a lot of issues, right? So it could be the funding, sample size, the duration of the study, what are they comparing it to? Let's see. So there could be people in the study that influence. It could be organizations that are influencing it. One of the things I'll note is that, like, with the meat and dairy industry, like, I think 80%, I remember hearing, are like funded by the meat and dairy industry. So, there's very little funding for people trying to find out if eating animal products are not healthy. I mean, it does exist, but again, the funding is huge. There's a lot of different things that are going on. So with this one specifically, what I did is I looked at different people just looking into this study and these types of studies and finding what's true, what's not, was it done correctly, etc. So I recommend, it is what it is, you got to put some time into it, is that you have to find people, knowledgeable people, not just one from one side and one from another side. You got to find, if you can't do it yourself, you got to find multiple people to describe the study to you, and you'll notice who's giving you correct information, who's giving you more detail, who's really digging deep into everything. I do notice that when somebody's giving you information, if they're giving you like the short, sweet, quick information, and kind of like, hey, brushing you off, like, all right, yeah, no, it says this, it's everything's it's correct, it's fine. They're not telling you the truth. The people telling you the truth are the people who are digging deep, taking the time, looking at the details, explaining everything very carefully, and breaking down as much as possible. Those are the people that are actually giving you the truth. So just a mental note on that. So with this study, okay, so I found somebody who broke it down very carefully, very knowledgeable person, looked at a lot of different things here. So the main issue with this study, okay, and I will point out that someone who mentioned this to me is that, vegan kids are going to be shorter. That affects their height or something. That this study also says that vegan diets, you have a healthier LDL level, number one killer in freaking in the world, in the U.S., right, is heart disease, right? They're not going to mention that part. They're just going to mention the part that benefits them. But anyway, I'm going to read what the person in the other YouTube channel explained quickly, and then I'll probably edit their video or link it at the bottom. So it says here when well, they explained that, and I'll make it short and sweet, right? So because this study compared several variables such as height, BMC, vitamin D, B12, and not just one, they were supposed to adjust for confounding factors. Now, confounding factors is something that affects the independent variable, so it can mess up your study, and it can give you what's called false positives, right? So when you're looking at multiple variables, you got to do this. And once somebody, the other YouTube video I'm going to link below, they pointed out when somebody did do this, they noticed that, all right, so once this was done and calculated and accounted for, the results showed that the height difference and the BMC differences actually became statistically insignificant, okay? And the only thing that actually remained as statistically significant was that the vegans had a lower and healthier cholesterol levels, while the non-vegans had a higher unhealthy cholesterol levels, okay? So the study had some stuff in it, but to be able to kind of sift through the stuff that's inaccurate, not really valid, you had to do the additional work of adjusting for confounding factors. And there it is. I mean, this study of saying vegan kids are going to be shorter, this is just not true. And there's a very few studies done on this. It's not true. But what is true, and it shouldn't be a surprise, is that even at a young age, kids. So again, this study is trying to show that eating a vegan diet is not good, when in actuality, when it was actually adjusted properly, actually showed that the vegan diet is really good, and it actually had benefits. So again, from the conclusion, it showed that LDL levels are actually healthy, and that actually remained as the only significant finding. So again, and it's not that surprising. So even at a young age, you're eating, your parents are giving you cheese, you're giving you cow's milk, right? Lots of saturated fat, lots of unhealthy fat. You could be eating chicken, you could be eating some kind of meat, you could be eating cold cuts, right? Cold cuts are type, what is it? Types, 3, right? Type 1 carcinogen? Anyway, does cause cancer, okay? Cold cuts does, in fact, cause cancer. That's from the World Health Organization. So, as a kid, as young as 5 to 10 years old, you're already showing signs of bad cholesterol. Again, that's why over time, eating this stuff over long periods of time, the number one killer in adults, number one killer in the world, right? In the world, or even right? I think it's the U.S. or the world, whatever, is heart disease. Number one is heart disease. Number two is cancer. So it's very important to not just take what somebody says, just as a fact. Oh, it's all in the study. You have to look into it. You have to think, take your time, look at it, try and read it if you want, or find many people from both sides to really break down what is actually true and correct, okay? So, we got to accept that when there's people, human beings, and they have an opportunity to take advantage of something and not give you the truth or whatever, then they almost always will. It's very unfortunate. So I hope you guys learned something there. I'll link the study. I'll link the YouTube channel that I found the additional information in. Maybe I'll try and clip it in or something at the end. Comment, questions, whatever. But again, come on, it's height. Isn't it? Height is very, very genetic. Right? So, and just again, I guess remember, just eating a plant-based diet. A lot of make sure you get enough calories, variety of foods. Nuts and seeds is huge. Everybody should be taking B12 no matter what diet you're freaking on. If you're in a part of the world that's not getting enough sun, take vitamin D, and then you're good. All right, it's not a big deal. I have some more videos going up. I did some blood work. I have to upload that and stuff too, which is, everything's going great. I guess that's it, short and sweet. And Talk to you later. Peace.
So we bear in mind the caveats of the experimental design. We don't dismiss the study reflexively. We still go through it carefully. We still take it on board. For the height difference, which is what most people focused on, the first issue is that they did some unusual things with their statistics. Okay, we're going to get uber nerdy here for a second, but bear with me. It's not going to be too long. When we have two different populations, in this case, vegans and omnivores, and we're comparing one parameter across them, like for example, cholesterol levels, there's a certain risk of a false positive. False positive meaning we make an observation by chance that doesn't really reflect the different treatments, in this case, the different diets. And that risk is accounted for in the statistical tests. But when we make multiple comparisons, like we're comparing their height and their weight and their B12 and their cholesterol, now the risk of a false positive goes up. So to minimize that risk, there are some statistical corrections that are done. And this is pretty standard. It's done all the time, but they didn't do it. And we'll see in a minute why. So Dr. Avi Bitterman has pointed this out, and he went and did those statistical corrections himself. And when you do them, the height and the bone differences in the vegans all go away. They're not statistically significant. Check out Avi's channel for more details, and he's a wealth of knowledge in general. So when we cross the T's and dot the I's, there was no significant difference in height in the vegans, unlike the lower cholesterol in the vegans, which did hold even after all the statistical corrections. So, in a way, that was the most statistically robust finding of the study, that the vegan kids had better cardiovascular profiles.